Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Tournament Center here at Pro Tour Battle for Zendikar in Milwaukee. I'm Brad Dave Marshall. I am joined by Pro Tour Gatecrash champion Tom Martell, and we're going to do a little draft tech / therapy session with Tom. And Tom was like, yeah, can we see what my draft looked like?
Yeah.
I want to see what went wrong. It's kind of an interesting perspective on a draft
come
tech.
together. I've done a lot of drafts this format, probably like at least 30. 20 to 30
with Team Ultra Pro.
We're Team Ultra Pro, so
for...
team with a lot of team drafts, a lot of like birding drafts, talking about drafts. So felt like actually more prepared for limited in this format than I have in any format up until now, and this is just the hardest seat that I've had in any of those drafts.
Well, let's take a look at the seat, because we have a table graphic. We show you where you're sitting. So, Tom, you're sitting between Jorge Guerra and Jaroslav Busic, but you also have Jensen, Pollock Rothman, Kibler, and Martin Mueller all at your table, who are all very formidable Pro Tour competitors.
And I mean, but hardest seat, I mean, like the way the packs broke, I think this seat's very hard to draft. I mean, obviously at the table, actually, might even be one of the better seats. I think this is a set where the pick orders aren't obvious. And so being with players who aren't on experienced teams, I think actually probably benefits you. So I was actually very happy with my logistical seat at the table, although it didn't end up coming together.
How fluid are pick orders in this?
Very. Extremely fluid. The archetypes, I mean, you can kind of shift between them, and I don't think it's very clear to people if you've only done a couple drafts how to prioritize the cards correctly. So I was excited kind of with where I was positioned at the table.
Okay, so let's take a look at what you opened here in pack one. What's standing out to you here? I see an Eldrazi Sky Spawner. That is, it seems to be one of the big popular high picks in common. Where are you seeing else in the pack?
There are three pretty reasonable cards in this pack, and it's a very weak pack overall. And Eldrazi Sky Spawner, Angel Renewal, and Merc Strider are kind of the only three cards in this entire pack that I'm going to be happy to have in my deck.
Okay.
I mean, you can end up in a theme deck where you want to play like a Call of the Signs or a Swarm Surge, but those are the only three cards that I'm actually excited about having. So I take Eldrazi Sky Spawner over Angel Renewal. Color preference, really, I prefer to be blue than white, and I think it's just a slightly better card. You get 3 power, 2 of which is flying for 3 mana, is a great rate. So I think Sky Spawner is one of the premier commons. Okay.
All right, so let's take a look. Now we get pack 2. Forerunner of Slaughter is a card I love.
Yep.
What else is Unnatural Aggression is pretty popular.
Yeah, the first interesting, so there's a common missing. Oran Reef Hydra is a big guy.
Oh, yeah.
He tramples, he's a high power. I don't love green. I definitely don't love green-blue. So I want to take a card that kind of is more synergistic with my first pick. So I go ahead and take the Adverse Conditions here.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
It's a good tempo card, and the Sky Spawner is a nice one as well. So I could be a blue-white Flyers deck. I could be a blue-black, blue-red. A lot of options still open here, and I think this is the most flexible pick given my first pick.
And so green is enough so that you're low enough on green in terms of where you want to be.
And specifically in green-blue as well. Yeah, I think actually you could make a case for Cloud Manta here as the other pick, but I think taking anything else out of this pack is probably a mistake.
Okay. All right. So there you go. Adverse Conditions. Fitting, maybe.
For the way this plays out, yes. This seat turned out to be very inhospitable, which I didn't realize at the time. Because I hear I get third pick Touch of the Void, and I'm thrilled. I mean, it's Touch
of the Void, and there's Stone Fury in the pack,
Stone Fury
too.
In the pack, yeah, which is another good dual spell.
Is Touch of the Void always over Stone Fury?
Probably not always, but I mean, I think it's efficiency. It's an early play. It exiles, so you can later on process the card that you've gotten if you don't have enough ingest guys. So it turns on a lot of mechanics. In the blue-red decks, blue has processors. The cards like Merc Strider. You might not get enough ingest guys, but you can pick up a couple tangential ways like Touch the Void and turn those on.
And you don't always want to put the ingest guys in your deck.
Right,
if
exactly.
You don't have to, they are.
Yeah, they can be a little bit lower
underpowered.
Quality creatures. You're getting a lot of them in the ingest side. So if you have enough cards like Touch the Void, you can play those Merc Striders and not have to worry about it.
Right, and if someone plays a Dampening Pulse against you and you have a Mist Intruder,
you feel pretty silly.
Yeah. Okay, so let's go ahead. Let's take a look at pick 4 here. Ally Encampment, Tajura's Stalwart. Resolute Blademaster's pretty exciting.
Yeah, so obviously, my first 2 picks are blue. I'm trying to be a blue deck. There's Wavering Elemental, which is a fine finisher, but it's a very replacement level card.
Yeah,
it's not in the top 6 cards in this pack. So it's a very weak pack for 4th pick. I decided just to take Resolute Blademaster here, just as it's the most powerful card. I don't love red-white allies as an archetype, but I've been past the Touch the Void now, another red card. So I think, okay, I'm not seeing anything else. Could take a green card, but I'm really trying to stay away from green if I can. Let me take this Blademaster.
Yeah, and then how? Just talk about a little bit about the impact of that card when you get to pull it off, even if you don't have a ton of allies.
Oh, yeah, you don't need to have allies in your deck. If you just have a couple of, say, the 2/2 landfall guys, right, in play, or you just have some power on the board. You play the land, you cast this guy, and all of a sudden they're all double strike for the turn. even if it's just a one-time thing, it's still a 2/2 that gives your team double strike once, with the threat of they have to play around the rest of the game, you having double strike at any point in time, even if you don't have a lot of allies. Super powerful card, one of the reasons to be in allies.
And is it also a card that you're willing to stretch your mana for in terms of the number of colors you're playing?
It's pretty easy to splash this card. Also, looking at the pack, I thought maybe this ally encampment might wheel, because there's 2 other allies, so someone else who's drafting allies will take those over it. So if there's another allies drafter, I might get the encampment back, and then that makes it even easier to splash this guy if I'm only half the colors.
All right, let's take a look at your 5th pick here. So what doesn't jump out at you? Unnatural Aggression is
another pretty mediocre pack. I mean, I'm trying to backdoor maybe into some kind of allies deck, so I take the Unified Front here.
Okay.
I'm thinking, okay, 3 color allies of some variety. My favorite allies deck personally is black-white. I haven't seen a black card that's castable,
Sure.
I've ever put in a deck here. So I'm thinking black-white's out the window here. Scrounging for something else to do. Maybe it'll end up being like white-green. Maybe it'll end up being white-red or Naya, something in there.
Do you think about a card, you're looking at multicolors, do you think about a card like Brilliant Spectrum at all?
I don't think Brilliant Spectrum is playable. I mean, at its best, you spend 4 different colors of mana, you draw 4, discard 2. That would be a good effect. But getting 4 colors of mana is very hard.
That's basically my question is, can you reliably get to 4, or do you ever want to?
I view most of the Converge cards as sort of like some value in your deck is train wrecking to make up for that, not cards you want to try to build around.
Sure. Okay, let's take a look at pick 6. So we see Turn Against, Oran Reef Invoker, blue cards, Dispel and Rush of Ice.
Yeah, not a lot here I really want. I mean, Oran Reef Invoker is fine again if I want to just be this base green deck, but I haven't seen any of the
You don't want to
premier-
be green. You've made that clear.
I don't want to be green, and I also haven't seen any of the premier green cards. Yes, there have been green playables, but they're like 5/5 for 6, which is a fine guy, but not exciting.
You don't want to fall into the trap of being behind the person who's taking the premium green cards,
right?
And you're sort of taking the second hand.
Since I don't like the color, I definitely want to be getting kind of the second choice out of the. So really, the choice here is between Turn Against and Rush of Ice. I'm thinking, okay, maybe blue is just like not open to these packs. Maybe I can move back into blue. My first 2 picks are blue. Rush of Ice is great in a tempo deck. Turn Against is a card I think it's fine. I've moved way down on it over the course of drafting the set, so I decided to take the Rush of Ice here.
Okay. I mean, and that's definitely a reversal from where I think people were 2 weeks ago. It would be inconceivable, I think, to make that pick 2 weeks ago. But
I think the pick actually very well might be wrong, especially since I haven't seen any blue cards since my first 2 picks, and I've at least taken like the Blade Master. Maybe I should just take Turn Against here for color reasons.
Right.
I don't love this pick, but I don't think it's a huge push either way.
Sure, let's take a look at your 7th pick. We're coming to the end of the pack. You're starting to, how are you starting to feel at this point in the draft? Are you really do you have to see the writing on the wall that maybe
I have no playable cards. I mean, literally, I have 1 card that I think it's above like a replacement level card in my deck right now. Assuming if I can play the Sky Spawner, that card's above replacement, so is Adverse Conditions. But if I don't get to play those, I have like the Blade Master, my only plausible decent card in the touch.
Yeah, what are we taking here?
I take Beastmaster as like, okay, I have this Unified Front, I have this Blade Master, maybe I can put together like a sweet allies deck. It seems kind of open. I haven't seen any of the cheap allies, which is what you want because you need your curve to be good. But the early guys don't actually have to be allies. They can just be any early creatures, and then the late guys can be allies to trigger.
All right, let's take your last fresh pack that you haven't seen anything out of. A couple of the spell lands that come into play tapped, the Whiptail. What are we taking here?
When you're short playables, you're looking at being 3 colors and you don't know if you're trying to be aggressive or controlling, like the spell lands aren't super great. I believe I take Plummet here for my sideboard. It is a good sideboard card in some matchups. I take Fertile Thicket. Okay, sorry. I see the right of the wall that my deck is a 3-color train wreck, so I decided to prioritize the fixing of the Fertile Thicket, over the sideboard card of Plummet.
Okay, all right. So let's take a look at all your, we also have, now this is your opening pack that came around, and there's really nothing left. Maybe the Call of the Silence?
I'm pretty sure I take Call of the Silence here just as like maybe I end up green.
Yeah.
Who knows?
Yeah. Okay, let's take a look at all your picks here. So what are you thinking about as you're doing your pack review?
I'm wondering like what time I can go get lunch. Like can I move my flight up a day? It's not. I mean, obviously I'm joking. This is not a disaster. A lot of drafts come together like this in this format. You figure out what's open in pack 1, and you get rewarded pack 2 and 3. I haven't passed a lot that's good in any color to the left, so I'm not happy with pack 1. I want to be in a streamlined deck, but it's salvageable.
All right, let's look at how the second pack goes for you. So this is your opener here. What's the big jump out at me card?
Yeah, this is the moment of truth point here. I mean, there are only 2 good cards in this pack, Hedron Archive and Green Warden of Marasa. In pack 1, I saw some green cards. I could be green. I've passed them to the left. None of them were that exciting. I decided Hedron Archive is going to go in any deck, no matter what I end up doing. I can still backdoor into like a decent control deck, I think, because I have some removal. So I take Hedron Archive over Green Warden because I think it's comparable power level and colorless.
Okay. And how do you feel about that? Do you feel like that's... would you go back? Would you make that same pick?
I think the only way if I just sat down forcing green, I think I could have had an okay deck, and that deck would have ended up having Green Warden. I think at that point in time, it's already too late to move into that point. I'd rather have the Hedron Archive in almost every deck I draft from this point on versus the Green Warden.
Okay. All right, there we go. All right, so now pick 2. There is really nothing that's super exciting here. The Valakut Predator is a fine card.
Yeah. Having just taken the Hedron Archive, I don't want to take an aggressive red landfall guy.
Processor Assault is...
Yeah, not where I am at all.
Yeah.
So this is just a disastrous pack for me. I could try to take an Arcana Assassin and move into like a different color set of allies or just be 4-color allies, but I have no fixing. So I decided, okay, look, I just took Hedron Archive. I'm going to try to draft white-red control. You know, it's a fine archetype. I like that archetype a lot. Stonehaven Medic is fine in the deck. Let me just take this guy and I can't afford to take flyers at this point because I have no playables. I have to take cards I think I can play. So I just move in on this archetype and decide that's my best chance.
Okay, let's take a look at your third pick. So again...
Nothing I want for my red-white control deck.
There's a Stalwart. There's an Aggression. Well, Tide Drifter, but you're not blue anymore.
The choices here, I mean, I could take Expedition Envoy, Stalwart, Tunneling Geopede, or Beast Match, depending on what I decide, where I'm going.
Where did you go? Let's see.
I decided to take the Stalwart here. I mean, okay, I'll be a 3-color control deck where I have a 3/4 for 3.
All right, let's go through. Let's take a look at what you picked here. Pick 4. What was the pick here?
There's nothing here I want to play again, so I take the Kozilek Sentinel because it can block.
Okay.
It's like a poor man's 06 wall.
Okay, pick 5, and this is...
Finally happy. I get to take a Stone Fury card I like. It removes things. My control deck can kill
over
stuff.
a Slide Runner?
Oh yeah, easily. I mean, the aggro deck is sailed at this point. I'm trying to draft a control deck, taking the Stone Fury.
Let's take a look at what everything was here in pack 2. What was really notable? I see a Ruin Processor was your 6th pick.
Yeah, and then Fortified Rampart 7th. But I mean, you can see here, I have 3 cards from this I would ever want to play in a deck at most out of the entire pack. I didn't pass anything that looked good either. Just the packs were so weak that I don't know what I could really done differently.
Let's move quickly through some of your pick 3, pack 3. So show me, let's see what card you took here.
So I take Nissa Renewal here over Violet Aggro. I think it's very close. Violet's insane, but like it's gonna be like a 1/5 blocker in my deck.
You don't have a ton of Devoid
one
creatures.
Devoid creature.
Yeah.
So it's gonna be a 1/5 blocker. I have enough of those already.
All right, so Nissa's Renewal. Let's take a look here. Touch of the Void.
Easy second Touch of the Void
now.
now.
Another Ornreef Hydra.
A second Ornreef, as I said. If I had just moved in on green, I could have probably had a deck. But at this point, I just moved to take the removal spell, try to focus my white red control deck with a kind of an ally finish.
Okay.
And for that purpose, I take Courier Griffin here, which is a fine flyer.
Pick 3 Clutch Occurrence that's
late.
Are you like maybe blue was open and
no,
there wasn't blue?
It's the first blue card I've seen that's castable.
But I mean,
since
it's
pick
crazy.
2.
Clutch Occurrence seems like
it's third pick. Maybe one is blue, and they took the rare is missing. I think from this pack, so maybe they took a blue rare. It's not insane that card goes 4th.
Also, Retreat to Valakut, a really
good aggressive card.
really good card, but not for what you're doing in another Slide Runner. Let's take a look at pick 4.
Slam another Stone Fury. I'm okay. I have a couple of removal spells now. There's an argument for Grove Tender Druids here, which I thought about, but it's going to strain my mana, and I just want all the removal I can get to try to drag the game out and win with my couple big guys.
So I take Stone Fury?
Yeah, easy Stone Fury here.
Okay, and then let's take a look at pick 5.
Nothing here that really fits great in my deck again, but I get a second copy of Courier Griffin. So
some way to win, you can sort of like kill some stuff.
Yeah, I have something like 1 Force and 06 on the ground. I have a couple 2-power flyers. Maybe that will get me there. I don't know.
Let's take a look at the balance of pack 3 here. All your picks. Not really a ton, but that's a late sheer drop.
It's a very late sheer drop. Like the only thing that kind of went my way in the entire draft is that one sheer drop. Obviously, I don't want to 5th pick a triple green spell in my white-red deck. It just didn't come together.
And as we're talking, you're sitting here, you're 0-2.
Yep.
And thank you for coming in. Not a lot of people always will want to come in and talk about their deck at 0-2. What are you hoping to do from here? How do you get your mindset?
Hoping to go 6-2. That's all I can do is, I'm playing against the other 0-2 deck, which is, I know I'm a lot better than him as a player because I'm playing Kibler next round at their 0-2, and I can just outplay him every turn. No, I mean, it's going to be a tough battle from here, but, I think PV won a PT starting out at 0-2. It has been done before.
Okay.
I'm just going to follow in PV's footsteps.
All right, looking back real quick, is there any one point in there where you feel like you could have done something very different with the deck?
Pick one pack when I can take Angel over the Skyrunner. I have one better card.
Okay.
But nothing else really changes.
Okay.
The seat was just, I don't know what to do.
All right. There you have it. Tom Martell, thank you so much for coming in and doing a draft tech with us. Brian David Marshall signing off from the Tournament Center.